Okay, so let's continue our Python interview question series. So we already covered like 5 questions. So this is the question number 6, which normally asked in the interview question. So, okay, so the question is, what is context manager and how can you write your own context manager? So hopefully you know this answer, what is context manager, but most of the people don't know how can you write our own context manager. So maybe like this is under the like intermediate category question, like this could be the basic category, like uh, okay. So what is manager? All right. So generally, like where you like in your Python, like whenever you start learning the Python, where you like heard this word context manager, generally like where you heard when you write this with like a with statement, like when you are trying to open the file or when you're trying to open the DB connection. Right, so there are multiple ways to do that. So if you use this with open, so this is generally called as a context manager. So by using this keyword as a with, we called as a context manager. But what exactly is the context manager? Before doing that, first let's look how we can simple write into some file. So let's go to the PyCharm. So if we have to write into some file, what we would do? Open, and let's suppose example one dot text, and we like the mode is like write, and then file dot write. So I can mention this is example one file, and then I can do file dot close. So basically what we have to do, we have opened the file, we have write the file, and we are manually closing the file. So there, if you see here, there is no example1.text. This is example.py, but there is no example.text. So let's run this code, python test.py. So the code has been run. So if you refresh this, so we have the example1.text file. So this is the example1 file. So our file has been written. Our file has been created. So how you use these resources? So like you have to manage everything. You have to open the file, right? So let's suppose this function got failed. Like you open the file and you are doing something. You are doing something. You are writing something into the file. But let's suppose uh, the code is going to be run line by line. So open works fine. Let's suppose this write function got failed. Maybe the file is already full. It is unable to write anything or something like that. Maybe it's append. So there is no space, right? So this code got failed. So if this code got failed, the file dot close even is not going to execute. All right. So in this case, our file will always be open. Our file will always be open, right? So our file did not closed. So to and in this like we have to and sometimes like we open the file, and even though the write of code has been run successfully, but sometimes people forget to close the file. So even the number of lines of code is more, and we have to take care of everything. We have to manage the resources means we have to make sure if we are opening anything, we should close that anything. So this is the thing which we did without context manager. Without context manager. And with context manager, like if we have to use the context manager, generally we use with as a keyword, and wherever you with as a wherever, sorry, what is this? Wherever we use the keyword as a with, it will automatically take care of closing the resources. So, and we call this function, this block of code is called as a context manager in the Python, right? So if you do the same operation, so let's suppose example2 dot text and w, the mode is w as file, and file dot write. This is example2 file, right? So in this case I am opening the file, I am writing the file, but I am not closing the file, but still the file is going to be closed. And how the file is going to be closed, even though I am I have not mentioned like file dot close operation. This is because of this with function, because we have defined the context manager. But what exactly is going at the backend, we are going to see here. So with, so if you like run the code python dot like test dot, and if you refresh, so okay, I have override the file. So let me example dot two, and if you rerun, and you could see example.txt has been created and example1 has been created, and both the file has been like internally at the operating system level. This file has been opened, this file has been closed manually, and in this case as well, both the file has been open and the closed as well. So this is like using the, this is using the context manager. Okay, so our question is, what is context manager? So what we have to answer, so if you scroll here, so use of with statement to effectively manage like resources. Context manager is kind of an object which use the keyword with as a statement to effectively manage the resources. So effectively manage the resources means like we don't need to worry about even though file.write has been like let's suppose file.write has been failed or there is an exception, still the file is going to be closed. We don't need to worry about like a dot close function. So it is going to effectively manage the resources. So certain, so how like how this is going to be happen? So basically what it did is like how the context manager like code is been doing is, so this is our actual code, this is our actual code, we are writing the file. So certain action happening after the code which we have even did not write. So something has been happen after the code which we even did not write. And what is the action at the file dot close? Same thing has been like I have written that certain action happened before the code and after the block of the code, even the exception occurs in the code. As an example, file operation. So we are like this is the file operation. The other example is the database connection. So similarly, the database connection. So we set up the connection. So generally, when we set up the connection, we use the context manager. So if the interview asks what is context manager, you can like generally in the interview now we don't need to give like exact definition. They want to know whether you know what is context manager like or not. So you can like explain like first without context manager and then again with context manager, and you can example okay, this is basically used to manage the resources effectively, and you can give the two example like file operation and the database connection, and you can like mention if we use the with keyword, then the is called as a context manager. That block of code is called as a context manager. Okay, but can I write my own context manager? Right, write my own context manager. So how can I write my own context manager? I don't want to use this open keyword. Open is there inbuilt, inbuilt. So instead of that, I want to use, so see, write my own context manager. Context manager, which is fine. So if it is a context manager, I need to use the keyword as a with. So instead of the open, I can use open file. And here I can mention example 3.txt and w as file, and then call file dot write. So this is example 3 file, right? So if you see, there is no such function open file. So here this open is act as a context manager when we use this like with the keyword. But like I want to write my own context manager, maybe because I want to do some logging functionality or any other thing. So I use my like my function. This is my function like open file. All right. But where it is, like how I can write, how I can write this function, because if I run this, it is going to be failed. This says open file is not defined. Open file is not defined. Right. So how you are going to write your own context manager? So to write your own context manager, so basically in the Python, whenever they are writing any function, any their built-in functions or any function which we are using, so they are writing some classes. In the classes, they are writing some function. They are using some magic methods. The same thing we have to do. So what we have to do, we have to create a some class, open file. All right. So this is a basically a class. So this is a class, and we are creating an object of the class, and we are passing two methods, or two arguments. One is the file, and one is the mode. So if you call the class, so by default the init method is called. So we need to define the init method. Okay, we are calling the init method. So in the init method will take the file name and the mode. So it will take the file name and it will take the mode. Sorry. So it will take the file name and it will take the mode. Okay, then we can mention self dot file name is equal to file name and self dot mode is equal to mode, which is fine. But but we are calling the object. It is not going to create my file. Even if you run this, if I run this, so they have like, see, if you see the error, attribute error underscore underscore enter, from where it is coming, underscore underscore enter. So because when we write our context manager, there are two more magic methods. See, like, what are the magic methods in the Python? All the function which are starting with double underscore and ending with the double underscore, all these functions are called the magic method. Okay, so whenever we have to write our own custom functions, now own custom context manager, basically we have to use the enter and the exit. So there are two methods. So one is the enter, one is the exit, to write our own. So in this case, we did not write our, so earlier this function doesn't exist. That it said, okay, this class doesn't exist. Then it says, what is open file? I don't know. All right. Okay. Then we define our open file, because this open file is a class. It is creating an object, because this custom like context manager is basically is an object. So this is an object which use the with statement. So this is an object. Okay, and this like is going to return some file, but it says enter method. So, well, like, we have not defined enter method. So even I told you, whenever we write our context manager, we need to use both this method, enter and exit. So what is enter method, what is exit method? Enter method means whenever you are calling this operation open file, what is going to be happen? The what is going to be that is the file should be open. And when this operation has been happen, like completed, so when this operation has been completed, what is going to be happen? What is going, that is the file should be closed. So that is the on the exit of the context manager, what should going to be happen. And you don't need to call those enter and exit, it is going to be automatically called. That is the beauty of the context manager. So it give the attribute error def enter. So let's create the enter. Okay, we created the enter. Okay, when we created the enter, so like as soon as we call the open file, what should be happen at the backend? The file should be open. So we can mention self.file, file should be open. So once again, so file should be open, and here self.file name and self.mode. So file should be open and it should return the file, return self.file, right? So file should be open and file should be like, so file should be open, file has been written. So if you run this, now it says exit method. Where is the exit method? It gives you the attribute error exit, because context manager needs two methods. One is the enter, one is the exit, because the context manager wants to close the resources as well. And basically in the file it is the close the resources. In some other case it's something else. Basically it want to perform action after uh, basically uh, code completion. Once the code has been completed, it want to perform something. So code has been completed, but it want to perform something right after the code, and it wants exit method. So let's define the exit method as well. So def underscore exit. So like, what exit method is going to be do? So it should close the file. So self dot file dot close, that's it. So it should close the file. So if you run this, so now we did not get any error. So we did not get error, and example 3 file has been created. This is example 3. So now let's go back to the question. So what is the question? The question says, what is context manager? We go to know context manager. Context manager is an object which uses a with as a statement, and it is used to efficiently manage the resources. And some action going to be happen before the code, and some action going to be happen after the code. As an example, handle file operation, database connection. Okay, the other part of the question is, how can you write your own context manager? So we could see, to write our own context manager, we need to use the two magic methods, and these are the inbuilt magic methods, enter and the exit. So enter and exit, maybe you don't know like this, because these are not commonly used. magic method. So for the context manager, we have to use this method, same as the init method. So you could see, I did not call this enter method. I did not call this exit method. I even did like similarly, like when you create an object of a class, you don't need to call the init method. It automatically called. So similarly, this magic method automatically called. So this enter and the exit. So if you did not define this, and if you try to run, it is even going to give you the suggestion. Enter method, attribute error, enter, attribute error, exit. All right. And under that, what operation we have to perform, we can do that. So that's it. So we first see how to do without context manager, then we see how to do with context manager, then we see how to write our own like custom context manager. All right. So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you.